Hey everybody, welcome to Unscripted. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I'm walking with my doggy friends, and I had a really interesting conversation the other day and wanted to share parts of it with you. We were talking about kind of the speed of communication these days and how there seems to be a sort of unspoken expectation of speed in which we will communicate to each other and with each other. And got a dog wrapped around me. Yeah, and how there's like this unspoken, sorry guys, I'm really wrapped around a leash here. There we go. An unspoken kind of idea that, when someone texts you or emails you or leaves a message for you, that you will respond right away, as if your phone were with you the whole time, or you were connected to your computer the whole time. And with, these devices like Apple Watches and iPads and our iPhones and our smartphones, it's sort of expected. Yeah, I mean, when I text you, when I email you, you'll get back to me. And we were kind of laughing about this, like, well, who made up that rule? And we were looking back at the days when, for example, if we were overseas, we would send an aerogram to our family, which was this sort of, for those of you that were born after this time, it was this kind of pre-folded letter that was, the postage was prepaid, and he would write inside this envelope and then mail it, and it would get, to its destination, anywhere from, 2 to 3 weeks from the time you sent it, depending on the country you're sending it from. So if you're getting word to your family that you're safe and life is good and, I'm thinking about you, it was a 3-week gap of time before, between the time you wrote the message and they received the message. And it was the same with, you used to call, and before there were message machines, you would call the phone number of the house, and I'm dating myself, but there was no answer machine, and if the phone rang and rang, it meant no one's home, and you couldn't leave a message. You just had to try again. And or if the phone had a busy signal, it had the signal that told you, oh, somebody's talking on the phone. So you couldn't leave a message. You had to call back. And the burden of the responsibility was mostly on the caller. Like, if you didn't get your person, you would call back until you did get your person, right? But now it's changed. Now you send a text or whatever, and the burden is 100% on you to get back, which is fine, except that the burden comes with this idea, like, you have to get back to them right away. It creates so much stress. So my friend and I were talking about, well, how do we create different agreements with our friends so that we can set expectations so that we're not like, I don't know, running around with our hair on fire, making sure that we're responding to everything all the time, all at once. And how do we differentiate between, things that really are urgent and need an urgent response or a timely response, and things that can just wait, and things that don't even need a response at all. People contact us on a need to know basis, and they're just giving you information. Do you have to respond? Anyway, I'm just throwing all this up in the air because I find it kind of annoying that there's this unspoken social rule that expects that we must respond to everything all the time right away. And it makes me think about like this concept of Kairos and Chronos. And I write about this in my book. Kairos, well, let's start with Chronos. Chronos is sort of stopwatch time. The meeting starts at 9. The Zoom call will be an hour. The class is an hour and a half. This is Chronos. And Chronos is great. Chronos helps us manage our time. And then there's Kairos, which is another measurement of time. It's a Greek word, Kairos, which means the time things take. So a fruit ripens in Kairos. A friendship develops in Kairos. We can make a decision in Kairos time. And both are important. Both are different ways of relating to time. And both commingle in a way that, I don't know, just helps us live in space and in time in a way that together, when they're in balance, and when I say balance, I don't necessarily mean 50-50, but just in balance, in harmony, both help us to be in time and space in a really beautiful way. So what I'm arguing for is a little more Kairos. Technology has put everything into Chronos. But that's not the only measure of time. Sometimes a decision needs a week, 2 weeks to process. Sometimes a friendship needs time, Kairos time, to unfold. Sometimes before rushing to a decision or an action, we need to bring in Kairos, just to allow wisdom to come in. And yeah. So how does that play out in a time, in a world that values Chronos, where there's a lot of expectations about Chronos? And I think for me, I could probably get better at managing expectations. I can, if someone emails me or texts me, and I can feel, with my intuition that they are gonna expect a really quick reply. I can just tell them I'm gonna take a little time with this. Just so they don't feel totally ghosted. But then that gives me more time. I think that's something that I could do My emails, for any of you who've ever emailed me, I have an autoresponder that says, you know, I'm out with the horses or out with clients or hiking or doing something outdoors and I'm not near my computer or phone. So this is a slow inbox. I read everything. I may not respond to everything, but I will eventually attend to all the things necessary. It's also important for me personally to kind of determine, does this need a response? Is this an emergency? Is it urgent? Do I really need to respond within 24 hours? Some things I do, but a ton of things I don't. And what's realistic and what's reasonable. So I think setting up autoresponders on my email is helpful. I wish our iPhones had autoresponders on them, but for some reason they don't. And I think managing expectations, and also, just tripped over a root. Also, I think having a conversation with my friends about, hey, I don't live my life on technology, and this is how I roll. And you probably aren't going to hear from me right away unless it's time sensitive. And if it's time sensitive, let me know so I know that. But if you don't hear from me right away, just know it's because I'm not on technology a lot. And by the time I get on technology, I have 20 texts and 50 emails waiting for me. So it can take me some time. But it's not because you aren't a priority or I don't care or I don't love you. And having that conversation in advance can be really, really helpful. Because some people are wired where to them safety is, you know, when someone responds right away, that feels safe to them. Other people aren't wired that way. Nobody's right or wrong, right? So, yeah. So this is unscripted. This is my rant on the speed of technology and, I don't know, just giving ourselves permission to not have to run so fast, not have to be so on call in a sense of artificial emergency, and being responsive to things that truly are urgent and time sensitive, which is a handful of things, and just relaxing over the things that are just could use a little Kairos time. So have a beautiful day.